If you know that your success is inevitable towards a goal, you know that you're going to get there. It's just continuing on the journey and backing yourself. Welcome back to Wildly Empowered Women. Today, I am joined by myself. I am very well overdue doing a solo episode explaining a bit of an update, a life update, what's been happening that I've been going through, some adventures, I'm going to call them, rather than problems that I've been working through as well. In this episode, I'm going to sort of run you through that and some areas that I feel you'll gain some knowledge from and maybe learn through my experience of what it's like to be building a business as a mum of three and all of the things that actually go with growth. So firstly, bit of an update. I am actually recording this from my very generous in-laws' house. We moved out about a month ago from the place that we were renting for 12 months while we've been building our home. So we knocked down, we've been rebuilding for the past 12 months. It's actually taken about 3 years because it took about 2 years to get council approval and approval from Sydney Water. And it's been quite a long journey to get here. So at the point of recording this, it's late November and we will be moving in about 10 days before Christmas. So the time we unpack and everything is all, hunky-dory in the living space, it'll probably be around Christmas, which is awesome. My magical script I keep listening to and I've been listening to for the past year was saying, I just want to be in by Christmas. And I tell you what, we are cutting it fine. It's been pushed back many times, but it looks like we will have that dream come true, which is great. And it's been interesting living back here because when I first started my magic business, I invested 10 grand into getting started. And it was the money that we needed to actually purchase that house. So it was the money that myself and my husband had saved as a deposit to buy a house. We invested a lot of that into starting my magic business. And then we moved in with my in-laws because we had to, earn it back and we wanted to save a little bit of money on rent. So we moved in here for about 6 months. Myself, my husband, and my eldest son, who was about 1 or 18 months at the time. And it's so interesting being back here because the last time I lived here, I was in the energy of like starting a business and working from the ground up and, wanting to build, wanting to replace my income and build this enormous empire and, retire myself in my late 20s and buy a house. And now I'm actually done all of that. I replaced my income within 12 months. We bought the house shortly after living here. And, I'm back here sort of in a similar hustle season, even though I have those things, because now I have even bigger goals and we have an even further stretched goal than just buying the house. Building a house is enormous. There's so much that goes into it. And one thing I did want to share is, I earn quite a great amount in my business. And also we have an enormous money goal at the moment because we've gone over with our house. There's been additional things that we did not realize you can't put on your mortgage, like huge expenses, and everything all up with between that and also Gala, which is a very big, amazing event that we are doing for the Wildly Empowered Collective. End of year event, 216 people. It's going to be like the Oscars for Twerk. It's going to be amazing. The night of nights in the calendar. So these two things, like the Twerk Gala and our house going over and the Gala budget going over, has added to about 100 grand extra on top of like what I pay myself monthly in my business. So what I've been going through has been really testing to my money, my relationship with money and my trust in myself. Because imagine if you just woke up one day and everything just landed for you, that you don't just have to continue with what you pay yourself, right? Which is like, what I pay myself is what pays our mortgage and like keeps food on the table for the kids and like pays for things. And I'm very grateful to have a 6-figure income and a 6-figure business. And also the extra expenses that I explained are not included in that. So at first there was a lot of scarcity. There was so much constriction and there was moments where I went down to the beach here, living in Mona Vale, and I just stood and looked out at the ocean and just cried. And I was like, how the F am I going to do this? Like, my husband's on a fixed salary. He's leaving his job. He's just quit, right? So he's been at his job for 11 years and he is taking a break and for the next, 4 to 6 months, taking a very big career break, which he so has deserved. He's worked really, really hard and he's always worked really long hours, which is, to be honest, the only problem we've ever had in our relationship has been his work hours and the flow on from that. So I'm so excited he's having a career break and he has time to look at, what lights him up? What does he actually want to do? Does he want to use his extensive knowledge and his, previous career to do? So I'm really excited that he gets that season. And also it means, even if he was working, like most people are in a fixed job. If you were like, I need an extra 100K, what's your boss going to say? Whereas in my business, I am so grateful that I can go, okay, well, I've got some really big immediate goals. What can I do to get there? What are all the ways that I can really leverage the compensation plan I already have in front of me to get there? And so I sat down and I had to go, right, well, I've got some pretty big goals. I've got to match that with my own sales and with my own, rate advancement bonuses and all these different ways that I could tell that we could get it done. And then also getting thrifty. We were like, you know what? We have 2 cars. We don't need 2 cars. Let's sell a car. Actually sat down and looked at all of the money coming in and what we need to continue, the lifestyle that we have. Not that it's eccentric. What's the word? Like it's not outrageous, but we've got bills to pay. We've got a mortgage. We've got 3 kids, all of that. And then how can we make sure that we've got the money for these 2 investments? I want to just talk about that word investment because both of them, I'm pretty good with money. I don't spend money that I don't have for luxuries. I have invested heavily in both of these things in the house and also into this event because I know the return on investment and what it's going to bring us long term, right? And particularly in the next year or so. Both of those things have been pretty big because all of the money is due by the end of the year. Like everything for the house, the driveway, the landscaping, the blinds, the, all of the invoices for gala, it's all due in the next immediate, basically in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So it's been a really big part of my life. And like I said, living back in this house, I feel like it's actually really serendipitous because the last time I was here, I was in a sort of a bit of a hustle mode in a good way of getting a business up off the ground. And this time living here, I'm like, right, it's like round 2, ding, ding, let's get to these goals together, me and my husband together, working together on it. So it's been a really interesting time. It's also, been a time the last few months of really having to honor my own body and, my own schedule around what I know I'm capable of versus what I know I also need to bring in, right? It's that dance between trusting yourself and trusting that you know what needs to be done and actually doing what will move the dial forward. And also, I have a 5-month-old. I've got 2 other kids. I need to look after myself. I'm breastfeeding every 4 hours. I was sleeping through the night. Zara was sleeping through the night, but now she's having a regression. So she's waking 3 times a night. So it's really being lenient and flexible with what my days look like and what I'm available for, not only for myself, but for my team and for other people that I work with. What my boundaries are really need to be quite solid. And that's on me, not on anyone else, on me. And we've spoken about boundaries a few times on these podcasts. And I had the beautiful Jenny Mears. If you haven't heard that episode, it was really good. She's a feminine embodiment and a sexologist coach. And she is someone that I worked with very closely for a year doing feminine embodiment work. And we did an episode on healthy boundaries and healthy and unhealthy, feminine and masculine. And, one of the healthy traits of the feminine is having boundaries and sticking to them. And that has always been my weakness is I can set a boundary, but then I find it really difficult to stick to it because the story in my head is I'm letting them down or I want to be more available. I genuinely want to support that person. But if I put a boundary in place and say that I can't, or it actually doesn't feel good for me. So even though we know that we need to have boundaries to continue at a pace that is sustainable for us. And, I'm a projector. I can't work like a Maddie Jen or a Jen. I have to have my space and make sure that I'm rested and nourished. Otherwise it comes from a place of bitterness when I help. So I know all of that. right? We all know all of that. And actually implementing it is a different thing. There's so much that we know in this journey of life and business and success and, parenting. There's so much that we know. It's another thing to actually embody it and another thing to really, actually have it as your life rather than just a concept that you're aware of and that you agree with rather than what you're actually living. So that's been a really big thing. Basically this last couple of months since I've been back from maternity leave, it's also, the goal that I mentioned, like with money, it's pretty crazy because I'm also going through this, I guess, complex situation where I'm like kind of in polar opposites. Like I've got this really big money goal. My business is doing really well. And I have this enormous money goal that kind of made me feel like I wasn't doing enough or good enough or earning enough, even though what I'm earning right now is what I used to have as a goal. Years ago, when I lived here, I would look out to the ocean and be like, I can't wait until I can pay myself 10K months above and beyond tax and super and all of my expenses. So really, I wanted to be earning 20K months so I could pay myself 10K months. And that's what I'm now doing, right? And still, I have felt so much shame and guilt and scarcity around the fact that how the hell did I get into this position where even though I'm earning that, which was once a pipe dream, how did I get into this situation where I actually have all of these other expenses? And it's quite vulnerable and uncomfortable for me to even share that. But I do feel like a lot of other successful people probably have been in this situation before and haven't shared it. And it's that thing of like investing before you have the money, which I'm not suggesting you do. It's what I've done and I own it and I have no regrets with it. And also, this is the situation that you can often be in where you know and trust that those investments are going to pay off. We've built this house. It's going to be beautiful to live in, but we've really built it to sell in the next 3 to 5 years. It's not my dream forever home. My dream forever home has water views and a pool, and it's in a different sort of slightly different area. So I know that it will pay off. And also with Gala, like absolutely, like no doubt in my mind that it will pay off. And it's not an investment that immediately pays off either. So it's been an interesting dance between trust, surrender, and action. And what I've been doing and what sort of pulled me out of this place of scarcity and I guess fear and a bit of overwhelm was I went, right, okay, what advice would I actually give someone in my team who was going through this? I would say to them, pull your socks up when it comes to your mindset. Like, don't allow yourself to be in all of these thoughts around scarcity. Actually get into action, which is the first thing, which I have been doing, and be aware, not just aware of your thoughts, but actually take action on the opposite thought and how you want to be feeling. Vic and my in-laws and my mum and everyone just happened to be away for 4 days. So I was home with the kids for 4 days last week. And so I was like, right, every single night, I'm just going to do a bit of a money workshop on myself. So I had a bath one night and listened to You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero, which I'm listening to at the moment. It's a great book, 6 hours on an audio book, so you can smash it out in a week if you wanted. I've just been listening to like half an hour a day. She's very funny. It's very entertaining. Another night I did some journaling and I listened to a bit more of Happy Pockets Full of Money, which that book, I have a hard copy on my bedside table and also the audio book. And I actually just re-listened to chapters 3, 4, and 5 on repeat or reread it on repeat. I don't feel like you need, like the rest of the book is amazing, but if you've done a little bit of personal development and, if you're a fan of Abraham Hicks, Joe Dispenza, those sorts of people, you probably can skip the first couple of chapters and just get into the juicy good stuff. So that's another book that I've been reading and listening to. I also have been listening to my affirmations. There's one that I absolutely love by Alex Tripod, and it definitely is around money and success and like your next level of yourself. And then there's another like sort of I am affirmations that I listen to on YouTube as well. So I've really been focusing on my mindset and ensuring that I don't get too, I have my days, but like not too bogged down in all of this, because at the end of the day, I truly know that there's no world that exists where I don't have the money to pay for these, right? I just know in my heart that there That doesn't exist. Where I am then, therefore, is I'm just in the gap between where I am right now and being on the other side of it. So if you have a goal like that, just like kindly remind yourself of that. Like, do you really trust yourself that you can get there? Do you really back yourself? Because you're just in that gap right now. If you know that your success is inevitable towards a goal, you know that you're going to get there, right? It's just continuing on the journey and backing yourself. Before we go on, I want to ask you a super powerful question. What would it mean to you to make decisions based on your soul rather than your bank balance? Freedom to me means having true autonomy and choice in your life to live based off your values and soul's desires, rather than what you can purely afford for you and your family or what your job requires of you. This is why I've been empowering women for the past almost 5 years to earn more with pleasure, earning your true worth without the insane hustle and with actually having choice in your life. It is so much more about how you earn rather than what you earn. If you'd like to learn more about how I mentor women to earn a time-leveraged income online, selling conscious, health-based products and learning the skills of personal branding and attraction marketing, both very sexy skills to have, then click on the link in the show notes or DM me the word info on Instagram so we can have a proper chat. I love having one-on-one convos with you savvy queens and showing you how this kind of income and our community can help you truly live wildly empowered. Big love, back to the episode, which brings me to the next part of this episode that I really wanted to share. And once again, I'm sharing two journeys. One is the very big wealth goal that I have that I haven't yet made, right? So I'm sharing this now, having not made it yet. And the other journey that I want to share, which, I could have waited until I was on the other side to share, but I think this conversation is the conversation that I wish I had have been able to hear when I was a couple of years ago, when I was at a different level and wasn't quite there yet. And that's a conversation of like the imposter syndrome and the devils that sort of come up at different levels. So I feel like a lot of people get in their head around, I don't know how to be a leader. I don't know how, what type of person do I need to be to earn 10K months? What person do I need to be to lead a team? What person do I need to be this rank, right? I don't feel like I'm a good enough leader to be this level of success. Here's the thing. No, you're not the person yet because you're not there and you can't possibly anticipate what you need to do between now and the gap between now and that place where you want to be. Like in that journey, you will become the person that can hold that capacity and that level of success. You can't train for it now. You can't anticipate it now. You can't plan for it now because you don't know what it looks like for you. You don't know what that situation looks like. It's not like you're packing to go on holiday and you're going to Noosa, you know what the weather's going to be like, you know what activities you're going to be doing. No, you don't know that. You have to not get in your head about what possible problems or adventures you'll have at that level. You have to just focus on actually the journey of getting there. And I know that's easier said than done. But here's the thing, it's no different. A great analogy that I want to make is it's no different to parenting. I didn't know how to be a mum of one until I had one. Then I didn't know how to be a mum of two until I had two. Then I didn't know how to be a mum of three until I had 3 kids, right? I now have 3 kids, so 5 months, 3 years, and 6 years. I don't know how to be a mum of a 1-year-old, 4-year-old, and 7-year-old because I haven't been one yet. I don't even know what a 7-year-old child would say or what they do or what they love or what the difference is between a 6 and a 7-year-old because I only have a 6-year-old. I don't spend a lot of time with kids that are older than my eldest son because he's my eldest child, right? So if I was to anticipate and try and plan and try to, figure out who I need to be and what I need to do to have a 7-year-old, it's like, well, I can do that, but I'd probably waste a lot of time and it may not even be that accurate if I just allow myself to learn as I go and get support as I go and look into different things that arise as I go. And as I move into being a mum of a 7-year-old, that is a much more effective and efficient way to become the mum I need to be of a 7-year-old than me trying to plan it or freaking out about it or like having this fear around not being good enough or not being prepared enough when I don't know what I need to prepare. So it's exactly the same in leadership and in business. And I did a live yesterday around how, I am on the cusp of enormous growth in this next year. In the last year alone, I have had such an enormous growth in my own business and downline. So this time last year, November last year, there was 215 people in my team, and now there's 550. It's grown enormously in the last 12 months. I didn't know 12 months ago how to lead a team this big. I didn't know what it would look like. And I know that this time in 12 months, in November next year, my team will have doubled, tripled, quadrupled since then, because I'm now on that exponential growth curve. And I've been in the business for 5 years, right? Like I want to just really make that clear that, it hasn't happened overnight. It really has not happened overnight. It's happened from me staying the course and knowing what the long-term goal is and knowing what my vision was. So I know that my income is also going to do the same. I pay myself a certain rate right now because I like to pay myself the same rate and leave some in my company and be a bit savvy with my money and not spend it all by paying myself and ensuring that I have enough to, invest in things when they come along and pay for my business expenses, etc. Did I have a spare 100K? No, I did not. But now I know that that's my new goal, is to have a spare 100K in my bank, because that is something that I now know would feel really expansive for me, is to hold money and to actually not to hoard it, but to actually hold it so that I can be in the energy of trust and knowing that I've got my own back, right, as well, and my family's back. I want to make the point of having a little bit of imposter syndrome when you get to new stages that you worked so hard to get to, right? I've worked so hard to get to this stage in my business, and still I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm going to be dash 3, which is where the legacy income comes in this business. It's where you, it's a really, 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 really big milestone. Everyone starts in a magic business wanting to get to dash 3 because it's where you start earning income for life. It's all willable to your kids. It's like things really drastically increase in your income, all of the things, right? And I can see from my business that without lifting a finger, I will get there either end of this year, beginning of next year. And if you had have asked me 5 years ago, who do you reckon you'll be? Like, how do you reckon you'll show up, and who do you reckon you'll be as a woman when you go dash 3? Like, I would not have described who I am today, right? In sort of, look, I don't want to say in a negative way, but like I would have described someone that I really, really admire, who I look up to, who's basically perfect, who's like, this like very evolved, wise, calm woman. And that is not me, like I've gotten here just being myself. I've still got so much to learn. I'm still not a perfect human. I still yell at my kids. I'm still working on how to do it all, what my ideal day looks like. Some days I don't really do that much and I have a great day and I'm very effective with my time. Other days I do it all. I do lots of different things. And so I don't feel like I've got it nailed, and still I'm succeeding, right? So don't feel like you need to have it nailed. Yes, it's important to sit and reflect on your business. And one thing that I reflected on when I was on maternity leave, and I've done this quite well since I've been back, is leaders create leaders. So I came back and my focus has been on my leaders. My focus has been, right, I just want to really support my leaders and ensure that they have everything that they need to succeed. So I've really been supporting my leaders to their own goals and milestones, and for them to become amazing leaders at leading their own teams. And that means that I only need to focus on leading my leaders and also my own personally enrolled people. But I'm also, my goal with them is for them to become leaders and for them to know how to lead their own teams. So one boundary that I have been quite good at that I've noticed has helped a lot is really focusing on my leaders and group coaching, and if I'm going to do a call for an hour, how can it reach the most amount of people and have most amount of impact and value? So that's why, at the moment I'm doing a mentorship. I've been jumping on calls with my leaders teams. I've been doing, a lot of like things where there's 20 plus people on the call. Even this podcast, I'm having this conversation right now so that it can reach the most amount of people and have the most impact and have the most value, because that's the best use of my time and it's the best value for everyone. It's a win-win-win. Shifting that mindset has definitely helped, but at the same time, I'm not a perfect human, and I'm certainly not someone that, I'm certainly not going to pretend that I am. And that any of the lessons that I'm going through right now are perfect lessons, and I don't have all of the answers to them yet. My point is, people look at, a -3 leader, or they look at someone that's really killing it in business, or they look at a coach or someone that they're following on social media, and they go, oh, wow, like she could do that. She's just so perfect, and she's so wise, and she's so embodied, and she's so this and that. Like, wow, I wonder what I'm going to be like when I get there, or like, how do I need to be more like her to be there? And trust me, you get there and you go, how the fuck did I get here? You get there and you go, wow, it's a bit scary. It's a little bit scary and uncomfortable for me to go, okay, well, I am about to go -3. And I know that in the next 12 months, I will probably have a business that is 3-4 times the size that it is. Wow, who do I need to become to hold that? And the answer is, I don't know. I haven't come face to face with the challenges, the adventures, the edges that I know are inevitable that will happen on that journey between now and 12 months down the track. So I can't possibly anticipate what I need to do. Can I ensure that I have the right support? Absolutely. I have 2 mentors. One I mentioned before, Jenny Mears, who I absolutely adore. She is someone that I go to for advice all the time. And my energy healer, Adelina Vaughan, she's been like by my side my entire journey for 5 years within this business. She's absolutely incredible. I've also got, my husband is stopping work. He's going to be working alongside me. He's very savvy with numbers and figures. He comes from finance. He's, his background, he used to work at Deloitte and buy and sell businesses. So he would buy a business, make it more successful, and then help them sell it. So he's very good with numbers and strategy and whatnot. He's just never had the time, because he's been working full time, to actually help me in my business. So can you put in, strategy, systems, and support in place to know that you've got them when you need them? Absolutely. Like, anticipate the F out of that. But do you know the specifics of what you're going to have to move through? No, you don't. So don't stress over it, because at any new level, you're going to get there and go, I don't know what the exact path ahead of me looks like. And for anyone that loves control, or loves, being in control, or knowing what's ahead, and perhaps being a bit of a perfectionist around it, it can feel really uncomfortable to not know that. But you've got to just trust that if you've come this far, then you can continue growing and moving through it and learning through it and failing forward and becoming the person that you need to be, which is not a perfect person. It's not someone who has all of the shit figured out all the time. It's just the person that's committed to continually growing and continually moving forward. And that's really all it is. You won't know how to hold a certain level of success until you're there. And getting there is the funnest part. That is the adventure. Getting to being a mum of 3, it has had its ups and downs. You guys know very well my fertility journey and how hard it's been, and, all of the adventures that I've had along the way of becoming a mum of 3. It has always been my goal. When I lived here, in this house with my in-laws, when I first started Enagic, and I was visualizing my dream life, like, I visualized myself sitting on a beach with 3 kids on my lap. I literally visualized it, and now I'm there. And could I have told you the journey or what it would look like? Absolutely not, because each step of the way has been so unique and so different to what I could possibly have imagined. So don't worry about the details. Stay big picture with your vision and just trust that you can get there, because you absolutely can. I was talking to someone yesterday about this beautiful woman who came to me on Instagram, and she went through my funnel, watched the webinar, and she's all in. She was such high energy. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to work with you. So I gave her a call. We were chatting through things, and we were talking about what it looks like to have confidence in the business. She's like, you know what? The one thing, Jess, that's going to hold me back is self-doubt. And I was like, babe, well done. You're human. Like every single other person that's ever started a business, you doubt yourself. Like, I fully relate. And like, There is nothing wrong with that. Everyone will feel that. And I said to her, it's interesting, like with self-doubt and with confidence, the only thing that you can actually do to build that is to prove to yourself that you can do it, right? So bit by bit, you're going to grow your self-confidence by just showing up and doing the do. And the only way that it can grow is just by continually going, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and then going and doing it, right? And as you do that, you build trust in yourself that you're a woman of your word and that you're actually going to do the thing. And you grow into the person that has the confidence in a certain area or a certain skill set. So for example, like a kid learning to walk or learning to ride a bike, they're not going to know how to do that immediately, but as they continually practice, they're just going to get better and better at it. So we were talking about, this business and showing up and, success and what that looks like. And she also said to me, like, how do you do it all? Like, how do you do this with 3 kids and like 500 plus people in your team, and how do you do it? And I was like, I don't do that. Like, I don't one-on-one coach everyone. As I mentioned before, I do group coaching and I really like support my leaders. And, I look at what is the most effective, impactful and valuable thing to do. And this is what really I want to mention the Wildly Empowered Collective on, because the last 2 episodes have been on that. You can't have big success without it impacting your overwhelm and your time unless you have really good systems in place. Before we wrap up this episode, I want to ask you a question. Do you remember how you discovered this podcast? Was it a friend's suggestion or an Instagram story, maybe a post? Somehow you found it, and I'm hoping you're getting a lot of value from it. I need your help now to pay it forward so that other women can feel seen, heard, nourished, and more than anything, empowered from these conversations too. Big love, back to the episode. So the one thing that I did do is, look at, okay, what's the thing that could break in the Wildly Empowered Collective? And me and the founders sat down and we were like, okay, like if things were to like 10x in the next couple of months, what systems would break? This was like a year or 2 ago. And we put systems in place that would be able to support us at that capacity. So we already have those systems in place. So if you went and made 10 sales in a month, 10 new people joined your business in a month, they have the access to weekly calls, to a group chat, to a platform that has trainings and support and courses. Like, you don't actually need to do anything yourself apart from just be there for them as a friend, as a support, as a cheerleader, cheering them on. So that is like probably the one thing that you can actually sit down and do is like, okay, if I was to go 10x, what are the systems that would break that I currently have? Who you are as a person is a different thing. Once you go 10, like if you 10x to your business, you can't possibly know who you are as a person, but you can know the systems and the processes that you might need to have in your business in order to hold that level of success without it breaking or without it breaking you and your overwhelm and your nervous system and your mental health and all of the things. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that the, hearing the sort of the other side of success and exponential growth and the success that you often see online, which is so impressive, hearing the other side of it and what it actually feels like has been useful for you. Because, last night I was down doing this call with this beautiful woman. And after I got off the call, I listened to this amazing song that I love right now. And I was just looking out to the ocean. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And I was just crying, going, I have so much fear around what's to come because it feels so surreal and crazy to be here, knowing in every part of my body that everything is about to 10x in the next 12 months. And knowing that my business will be the type of business that I always wanted to build in the coming 12 months. And I did a beautiful episode with Pippa Kate recently, who's an astrologist, and she said to me, February is going to be enormous in your business. She's like, February, like, get your roller skates on. Like, February is it. Like, there's big things coming. And so I know that it's either going to be the month that I go -3 or the month that I get paid as my first month of -3, or like, enormous things are coming. And it is that thing where it's like, oh my God, am I good enough? Am I a good enough leader to hold this? Like, what does a leader look like that has this amount of success? Like, who should I be to be a good role model and a good leader for my leaders? And am I a good enough leader for my leaders? And am I someone that can, hold that amount of wealth and success and, all of the things that come with it? So I just wanted to share that because I don't want you to think that, I can't speak for anyone else, but certainly for myself, that you get there and you just know all the answers and it feels great and it feels really expansive and you don't have an identity crisis, because hello, I'm just Salams and I'm having an identity crisis around it right now. And that is what happens at different levels. It's also what happens, again, the analogy of kids, right? You have one child and you have an identity crisis and you go, who the hell am I? Like, what the hell? My old identity is burnt to the ground and I'm reborn as a new woman. Then you have your second and you're like reborn with a whole new identity again, and you have a bit of an existential identity crisis. And then the same thing happened when I had my third. So it is the same thing with business from my experience. Again, can't speak for anyone else except for my own experience, that, new levels, new devils. And if you're ever wondering what those devils are, that's a little snapshot for you. I hope this was valuable. I can't wait to hear from you when you hear this, to hear what really spoke to you. Trust that, because it's obviously what you needed to hear from this. And as always, if it was valuable, would love to hear, screenshot this episode or whatever it was that really spoke to you and share it in your stories. Feel free to tag me or reach out if there's any questions that you have off the back of this. And I really just want you to know that you're so worthy and so capable of the goal and the success that you are running for right now. Big love.